SQL interview questions and answers 46 to 50. Question number 46. What are different transaction labels in SQL Server? In SQL Server, there are several transaction isolation labels which can be used to control how transaction access data and how data modification are visual to other transaction. The different transaction labels are read uncommitted, read committed, repeatable read, serializable. The read uncommitted labels allow dirty read, which means that transaction can read uncommitted changes made by other transactions. This can lead to non-repeatable reads and phantom reads. The read committed labels allow transaction to read only committed data. This label avoids dirty reads but still allows non-repeatable reads and phantom reads. The repeatable read label ensures that data read by a transaction will be same every time the transaction reads the same data. This label prevents non-repeatable reads but still allows phantom reads. The serializable label provides the highest level of isolation. It ensures that all data modifications are serialized so that transactions cannot read data that has been modified but not yet committed. This label prevents all type of anomalies. To set the isolation levels for a transaction in SQL Server, the set transaction isolation level statement can be used. Question number 47. What are the different locks in SQL Server? SQL Server uses locks to manage concurrency, ensuring that transactions don't interfere with each other. Locks come in different types and modes, and they can be applied at different levels of granularity. Here are some of the different locks in SQL Server and their characteristics. Shared locks. Shared locks allows multiple transactions to read the same resource, but they prevent any transaction from modifying the resource. Exclusive locks. Exclusive locks prevent other transactions from accessing a resource, including both reads and writes. Only the transaction that hold an exclusive lock can modify the resource. Update locks. Update locks are a special kind of shared lock the SQL Server uses when transaction reads a resource with the intent to update it later. Update locks allow other transactions to read the resource, but they prevent them from modifying it until the original transaction either commits or rolls back. Intent locks. Intent locks are higher level locks that SQL Server uses to coordinate lower level locks. For example, if a transaction acquires a shared lock on a row, SQL Server will place an intent shared lock on the page and intent exclusive lock on table. Intent locks prevent conflicting locks from being granted at lower levels of granularity. Schema locks. Schema locks prevent any changes to the schema of a database object such as table or a view. They are acquired automatically by any transaction that modifies the schema of an object, and they are held until the transaction completes. 6. Bulk update locks. Bulk update locks are used by bulk insert or update operation to optimize performance. They are held for duration of bulk operation and prevent other transactions from acquiring exclusive locks on affected resources. Row locks. Row locks are the lowest level of granularity for locks in SQL Server. They allow a transaction to lock a specific row while leaving other rows in same table available for other transactions. These are some of the most common types of locks in SQL Server, and they serve different purposes to ensure transaction concurrency and consistency. Question number 48. Can we suggest locking hints to SQL Server? Yes, it is possible to suggest locking hint to SQL Server using the with keyword in a query. Locking hints are used to override the default locking behavior of SQL Server during data manipulation language, that is DML statements, and can be used to specify locking methods, one or more indexes, query processing operations such as table scan or index, seek, and other options. Table level locking hints can be used to change the default locking behavior of SQL Server for a specific table, but they should only be used when necessary because disallowing a locking label can negatively impact concurrency. The recommended approach is to set SQL Server to determine the locking behavior automatically, but if the default behavior is not optimal, locking hints can be used. In addition to table level locking hints, it is also possible to set transaction isolation levels to prevent certain types of locks or conflict. For example, setting the transaction isolation level to a repeatable rate can prevent a selected inventory record from being changed before the transaction is finished and committed. What is lock escalation? Question number 49. Log escalation is a process that SQL Server performs to reduce memory overhead by converting several fine-grained logs to coarse-grained logs. This reduces the number of logs that the server has to keep track of and thus improve query performance and concurrency. Row logs are always escalated to table logs, and page logs may also be escalated to table logs. Log escalation does have a cost as it decreases concurrency, and it is important to tune the SQL Server instance to avoid excessive log escalation. Question number 50. What are the different ways of moving data between databases in SQL Server? There are several ways to move data between databases in SQL Server. One way is to use Generate Scripts option in SQL Server Management Studio (SSMS) to create a script for a desired database objects and data. This can be done by right-clicking on database in question, selecting Task, Generate a Script, selecting the specific database object and data to be included, and then running the generated script on the new database. Another option is to use built-in SQL Server import and export wizard, which allows for copying data between databases on the same or different SQL Server instances. This can be done by launching the wizard, selecting the source and destination database, selecting desired tables and data to be copied, and then running the export process. A third option is to restore a backup of the source database to new database and then use various methods to copy the data between the database. This can be done by restoring a backup of source database to the new database and then using techniques such as database replication, insert into queries, or SSIS package to copy the data between the databases. Overall, the best method to move data between databases in SQL Server depends on specific requirement of the task at hand and level of access and permissions available to the user. Thank you.